Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, and this is going to be set 2 of KT Rolster versus Samsung Kong. This is going to be on Heartbreak Ridge between Violet and Jangbi, my boy, my favorite Jangbi, known for his glorious, glorious storms. I love Jangbi to death, but he has been in a slump as of late, which is tragic and sad, and I completely missed the start positions, but we should be able to figure it out based upon who they look at first. So that's going to be Violet in purple on the right, and then Jangbi in yellow on the left. And yep, there it is. There, now we see Jangbi. Okay. So good thing, even if that's a good hint for anyone who ever watches a commentary where someone forgets, where the commentator forgets who's who, or to tell you who's who. Just watch the faces. The faces always follow where they the start position. So good little hint there. Or if they're gonna be nice and put up the little thing in the top left that makes it explicit, that always helps too. So either way, there you go. Violet and purple on the right, Jangbi and yellow on the left. This is gonna be on Heartbreak Ridge, and Jangbi. My favorite, but you know, it's gotten to the point where he's only good at one matchup anymore, and that's versus Terran, where he's still 68% and just blasts people and just destroys Terrans left and right because that's his job. But this is in this league, you can't be only good at one matchup, and even though he's still over 50% in his other match in versus Zerg and versus Protoss, he's just not where he was at one point. When you're a dragon, you kind of when you get given a term like a dragon or an emperor or a king or anything like that, you kind of have a higher standard placed upon you than what's given to normal people. And when you get 4 silver medals, you're also kind of have some expectations. And for him to be kind of slumping in versus Zerg and Protoss is really disappointing because it's just not enough. You can't just be good versus Terran. And now we're gonna have probes slapping high fives as they pass each other. But if Jangbi can figure out, I mean, it feels like throughout the Protoss lineups, there's just Zergs have just been dominating Protosses recently, and until there's some sort of metagame shift where Protosses figure out something new to do against Zergs that is effective, whether it's somehow incorporating Dark Archons or I don't know, transporting their Templars around. I don't even know how it works. Transporting Templars around in shuttles or something like that. Figuring out some way to keep their High Templar alive against Mutalisk harass. It's going to be pretty tough, I think, for Protoss to really beat 5-hatch Hydra without just absolutely exquisite, without just simply outperforming your opponent significantly. I think it's going to be really difficult for Protoss players. So I'm not giving him a pass on his versus Zerg, but I am gonna say that it's not too surprising that he's not doing so well on that. But versus Protoss, he needs to be good at 2 matchups. If he can figure out how to pick up his versus Protoss and start getting some wins, this would be a great start against Violet. That would be awesome for Samsung Khan. That'd be awesome for Jangbi. Jangbi can maybe start making some moves, maybe do a lot better in the maybe make some headway in the Star Leagues. That'd be great if he can get this this other matchup up and running to better levels, really. And just so you know, both players in the game are playing pretty standard so far. One gate, each of them has produced 2 zealots. I believe each of them has produced 2 zealots early on before producing any dragoons. So they're just trying to get rid of the opposing probe, but oftentimes that probe doesn't leave until there is a dragoon produced, and I think that's what we're waiting for here. But looking at Jangbi's opponent, Violet is really I don't want to call him up and coming anymore because he was here for most of last season. So now he's here. He's pretty much a veteran of one almost full season of pretty consistent play, and being KT's top their top Protoss, really, for all of last season. None of the other Protosses on that team really did much of anything. Tempest had a couple games where he looked quite good and was kind of pseudo-impressive, but wasn't able to keep it up. But and that's going to be it for KT. I guess stats, I think he might have gotten a win recently, but I don't know if they're really going to want to depend upon stats either. And it looks like Jangbi's going to lose his probe while running away from the Dragoon, but I do not believe Violet lost his. Not that one probe, it shouldn't make too big of a deal. It's not ZVZ where, oh wow, Jangbi is going for 3-gate goon, and it looks like Violet's going to go down with 2 gates, and he's going to go for some sort of like pseudo-tech build. We'll see whether he throws out in a robotic facility or a citadel, where he's going with this. But Jangbi's definitely going to be going 3-gate goon, and it's absolutely imperative that he stops any sort of a probe from coming through. But what I was saying about Violet is if he can be consistent again, KT has a powerhouse lineup, really. Luxury looks like he's back and up and running after last season's massive disappointment, and Flash is just a veritable beast, and he doesn't really slump. People give him a term of slump, but don't listen to them. Flash doesn't really truly ever slump. So Flash is always going to be there, and if Luxury is here now, Luxury's doing very, very well. And if Violet can come out, that gives you 1, 2, 3, and with 4GG, not a terrible... If he can pick it up a little bit, I think 4GG will be a great backup to Flash. And now we're seeing Violet actually is pushing in right now before Jangbi's really able to get a huge Dragoon advantage out of 3-gate Goon. But now we're seeing that next volley, that next round of Dragoons pop out for Jangbi, and now he has a Goon number advantage, especially one more round of Goons, and he's going to have more than enough to really power through. And we're seeing Violet go for a robotic support base, so he's going to be going Reavers before Observers, which is really good for him, because of course that means that he can get his Reavers out just a little bit earlier. If you see, if this was 2-gate Obs expand, this could be a little bit of a problem for Violet because of how long it's going to take for his next round of tech, his Reavers, to actually pop out. And it looks like a probe is actually setting up for Jangbi to maybe set up an expansion as well. And Jangbi may be looking to attack here. I don't know if he has the forces yet. They're about evenly matched, so it'll just come down to a pure micro fight. And I don't know if Jangbi really wants to engage right now. Maybe wait for this next round of Goons to show up. But he doesn't have a huge amount of time. If he waits too long, it's going to be really bad for him. If a Reaver pops out, it's going to be difficult, somewhere between difficult and impossible against a solid micro for him to compete against this. And Jangbi is going in right now. The Zealots are almost all dead for Violet. Now Violet has lost both. Well, it should have died. I think it died. And now, yeah, it did die. So now he's wandering into the natural. He's going to try and push Violet back into his base, but Violet does have a Reaver, so he's going to be able to hold that narrow gap pretty well. Jangbi playing very, very intelligently, throwing up a couple of Dragoons onto that high ground that even a Reaver with a shuttle is going to have difficult getting out of, and Violet trying to get a scout and going to lose that probe. I don't know if he knows that this is 3-gate Goon or 2-gate Goon without or 2-gate Obs. I don't know if he exactly knows. He might have been able to tell with the exact Goon count what it is. Actually, I'm going to assume that he does because he's a pro gamer, and I'm going to assume that the difference is enough that he'll be able to detect it. But I think he was trying to check if Jangbi did decide to expand. Observer has been produced as well for Violet. And he's also throwing up a shield battery, so he's really concerned right now. But Jangbi has a really good contain. It looks like he's maybe stopped producing Dragoons so heavily. And he's also placed some Dragoons outside of Violet's base strategically to detect any sort of shuttle wandering out with a Reaver. This is very, very smart. Jangbi also throwing down a pylon at the southern position in the map. So that's going to give him some pretty decent scouting of the probable paths that Violet is going to